You know, I was expecting to do a proper video today, but my car had other plans. So why the hell is my dash halfway pulled out and it's just a mess of parts all over the place? Because of this. Okay, now let me explain what's going on here. This predates the days 1982 here. Well, just going to say 1970s because there's so much of this is way older than it really is on the manufacture date. But this predates this handy little thing, a relay, or in Canada we call this a daytime running light module, which again is just a headlamp relay controller. Anyways, so back in these days here, what happened was that your headlights, high beams and low beams, and there's 4 lamps on this, what you would do is that you would route all of the wiring and battery voltage for each light to this connector here. And they would go to this little doohickey right here. This is your headlamp switch, and it has this ceramic disc here, which is actually a rheostat, and this also controls the brightness of your instrument cluster and all the other internally illuminated devices in the car. That includes the stereo on this one, and also lets you turn on and off your dome light. But what happens when you drive everything through one connector like this is that well, it actually, you know what, it's the exact same thing with these relays here. This one's actually melted as well, so your life still is miserable, and that's quite simply if you get any level of resistance, you now have the full running current of the headlamps trying to go through that resistance, and it goes thermonuclear. In this case here, if I can do this with one hand, yes I can, the wire melted itself right out of the connector. Like, this is no good at all. This is normal on AMCs, this is normal on a lot of vehicles, and usually the blame is this thing down here. This is your dimmer switch, or really it's your high beam, low beam switch. There's a metal wire that runs up the column to here, and if I hit that, that's all it does. But that wasn't actually the problem. Still going to replace it anyways because, well, preventative maintenance. I'd rather not go in here again. So normally you would put a higher power headlight in here because sure, these older headlights are not really all that bright and it would burn up. But in this case here, it wasn't really the fault of the connector that was at fault here. If we go back to our switch, so we have all these various terminals here. Our headlamp output is here. And check that out. So what's happened is that you might be able to see it. There's a crack that's run across where the rivet is. The rivet's worked itself out, and now the whole terminal just wobbles on there. So there's one part of the resistance. But also, see those 2 little beats right there? That's where the connector on the plug was actually seated on this giant terminal. And if you look at the other ones here, actually this one over here, you can probably see that it goes way further down on these other ones. So this always had a poor connection. And that's why this one specifically got thermonuclear. You can still get these switches, and interestingly enough, this switch looks like it's not original. So someone's had to do this job before, and they somehow screwed that up. So, okay, we're gonna have to do it again. Now, I can replace the whole connector, easy, but these other terminals here, I'll clean them up, but they're fine. It's just that one hole and the one wire. So I'm gonna snip this off, and I've already taken a slightly more heavy-duty rated crimp. I've just kind of trimmed the top off, and that actually fits through the hole one-sided. So I'm gonna route the wire back through the connector, crimp this on, and that way, when I plug this in, it will never work itself out of the plug because it can't make itself through the hole here. It's insulated as well, so there's an extra layer of failure protection here because that has started fires on some vehicles. And at the same time, it shouldn't do this again. It may very well do it again. Oh well, I'll just have to come back to it and figure out what to do. This is my job this weekend instead of releasing a regular video. So, yeah.